Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep into Vishen Lakhiani's The Code of the Extraordinary Mind today. This one's for those of you out there wanting to break free from limitations, those invisible rules that shape our lives.
Absolutely. And it's all about bending reality and, achieving those big goals we all have.
Yeah, ambitious stuff. But Lakhiani really breaks it down, like right off the bat. He hits you with this idea of the culture scape, this whole web of beliefs we inherit without even realizing it.
Right. Like this invisible script we're all following.
Exactly. And some of those rules, he calls them rules, they might not be doing us any favors anymore.
It's true. He even throws out this stat 70% of Americans just not engaged at work. That's a lot of unhappy people.
Wow. Yeah. And he ties that back to the culture scape, right? This idea that we're chasing this outdated version of success.
Yeah. Prioritizing stability over, passion and purpose.
So we end up in these jobs, maybe relationships that just don't feel right, like we're living someone else's dream.
Exactly. And that's where Lakiani says we need to become conscious engineers of our own minds.
Conscious engineers, huh? Sounds intense.
It's about understanding those beliefs, the models of reality, he calls them,
Right. Right.
and how they shape our actions, our systems for living.
So it's not just like positive thinking. It's about like literally rewiring our brains for success.
Precisely. Think about Lakiani's story quitting Microsoft. Big, prestigious job.
Yeah, that takes guts.
Defied the culture scale,
Like big time. But he had a plan, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where consciousness engineering comes in, using tools like meditation, even visualization.
Stuff we usually think of as like, ooh.
Right. But Lakiani brings it down to earth, makes it practical.
I remember that story about the hotel maids lost weight just by believing their work was
It's
exercise.
incredible, right? The power of belief.
Okay, so how do we actually start questioning these rules? The stuff we don't even realize is holding us back.
Well, he says it starts in childhood. We absorb these beliefs from family, community, no questions asked.
Right, like it's just how things are.
Then there's social contagion,
Mm.
ideas spreading like a virus.
Ooh, like those trends that everyone jumps on.
Exactly. And then authority figures come into play. Parents, teachers, even celebrities telling us how to live.
So we're getting hit from all sides with these rules.
It's true. And then there's the need to belong, so we conform to groupthink, and it all just snowballs from there.
Right, until those beliefs become so ingrained, it's hard to even imagine questioning them.
Exactly. But Lakiani says we have to question them if you want to break free and create a life that's truly our own.
And I mean, even Dean Kamen, the Segway guy, brilliant inventor, but he felt so stifled he actually started his own island nation.
Right. To escape the bureaucracy, create his own rules.
It's wild. But it shows you even the most successful people hit those walls.
Yeah. And that's why Lakiani's framework is so powerful. It gives us a roadmap for identifying and dismantling those limitations.
So once we've spotted those rules, what's next? How do we actually start breaking them down, creating something better? This is where it gets really practical, right?
It does, yeah. It's where consciousness engineering really kicks in. Lakiani's got all sorts of techniques, but one of the simplest is just questioning those rules,
Right.
like really putting them on trial.
So asking, is this even true? Not just taking it for granted.
Right. Like Lakiani, he grew up with this no beef rule from his family. Turns out, purely cultural, no real basis for it. Once he questioned it, steak dinner.
It's funny how these little things, they really can box us in.
They do, but then there are those beliefs deep down, maybe from childhood hurts. Those are tougher.
Yeah, the ones that really stick with you.
Lakiani's honest about his struggles too. Feeling unattractive, stemming from a childhood incident. He had to consciously replace that belief to change things.
So it's not enough to just think about it. You got to feel it, shift that emotional response.
That's it. And he used visualization. Powerful stuff. Even worked with a hypnotherapist to create this new reality. Seeing himself as successful, abundant.
Whoa. And it worked.
Business boomed. Felt a freedom he'd never known. It's amazing what the mind can do.
Yeah, both the problem and the solution, right? So by being aware of these models of reality, using tools like visualization, we can reprogram ourselves.
You got it. But it takes self-awareness and discipline to keep at it.
That's where Blissaplan comes in, right? Lakiani's idea that happiness, it's not a lucky break, it's a skill.
Right, something you got to work at. Train your mind for more joy, more gratitude.
So not about ignoring the bad stuff, but intentionally shifting towards the good.
Exactly. Though, doesn't it seem like sometimes chasing happiness just makes you more miserable?
That's a good point. Like the harder you try, the further away it feels.
Lakiani talks about that too. He calls it the forward gap. always focusing on what's missing.
Makes sense. You're so busy looking at what you don't have, you miss the good stuff.
Right. So he flips to the reverse gap, appreciating how far you've come, what you've achieved already.
Ooh, I like that. Shifting from scarcity to abundance.
Exactly. So simple practices help. Gratitude, writing down what you're thankful for.
3 to 5 things, he suggests, both personally and professionally. Gotta savor those feelings.
It's easy to overlook the good stuff when you're in that forward gap mentality.
So, Blissipline isn't about huge changes, more like small, consistent shifts.
You got it. But it's not just gratitude. Forgiveness is big too.
Forgiveness. Now, that's a tough one.
Lakhiani talks about how holding on to anger, resentment, it literally hurts us. He did this neurofeedback program, crazy stuff.
What happened?
Turns out forgiveness was the key to reaching higher states of consciousness. Like, it's not just a nice thing to do, it's essential for our well-being.
I never thought of it that way.
And it doesn't mean condoning bad behavior. It's about letting go of that negative energy.
More for you than for them, right? Freeing yourself from the past.
Exactly. He even has a whole forgiveness exercise in the book, visualizing the person, feeling compassion, realizing we all make mistakes.
Powerful stuff. Okay, so gratitude, forgiveness, that's a good start for a Blissipline. But what else is there?
Oh, he talks about giving too, being generous, like Love Week at Mind Valley. Employees doing nice things for each other.
Sounds lovely.
Boost in happiness and productivity, just from that simple act.
Kindness is contagious, right?
It really is. Lakhiani says, be merciless with your kindness. Little things, compliments, helping hand, it all adds up.
Okay, so we've got gratitude, forgiveness, and giving, all part of Blissipline. Sounds like a good recipe for a happy life. But how does all this help us actually achieve our goals, bend reality?
That's the cool part. Lakhiani says when you're in that blissipline state, grounded in gratitude, forgiveness,
Yeah.
you're actually more likely to succeed.
So feeling good leads to doing good.
It's backed by research, too. Happiness boosts productivity, creativity, problem solving, all that good stuff.
When you're happy, you just have more energy, you're more resilient.
Exactly. And you attract the right opportunities, the right people.
It's like a positive spiral. But to be honest, this whole happiness is a skill thing. It's hard to wrap my head around sometimes.
I hear you. It can feel so elusive.
Like, is it something you're born with or what?
Lakhiani says, look, we all have ups and downs. That's life. But you can train your mind to experience more joy, even when things are tough.
So it's about building that baseline of happiness, something to fall back on.
Right, and he breaks happiness down into 3 types. From experiences, from fulfillment, and from meaning. He says we need all 3.
That's interesting. So it's not just about chasing those fleeting moments of pleasure.
It's deeper than that. Blissipline is about cultivating that lasting sense of well-being.
Okay, I'm getting it. So we're not waiting for happiness to find us. We're actively creating it. But this sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
And Lakhiani gives us those systems to make it happen. Gratitude, forgiveness, we talked about those. But he also stresses playfulness, having fun.
Playfulness, like what? Literally playing games.
He tells a story about Richard Branson dancing on tables, just letting loose.
That's awesome. Reminds you that success doesn't have to be all serious, stiff upper lip, all that.
Exactly. When you're playful, you're more creative, more productive.
So Blissipline is about cultivating happiness through gratitude, forgiveness, giving, and having fun. It's about training our minds for more joy, even in the face of challenges. But how does this connect to bending reality and achieving those goals? How do we bring our inner and outer worlds together?
That's where bending reality comes in, aligning your inner world with your outer world, being happy now while still going for those big dreams.
Not about putting off happiness till later, but enjoying the journey while you work towards something meaningful.
That's the key. When you're bending reality, it feels like the universe is on your side.
Things just work out, the right people show up, like magic.
He describes it as a flow state, everything effortless.
But how do you actually get there? It sounds amazing, but a little too good to be true.
Well, he breaks it down into 4 states of living. First, there's suffering, feeling stuck.
We've all been there.
Then there's struggle, trying to improve, but it's tough going.
Yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Then there's coasting. You're comfortable, but not really growing.
Just kind of going through the motions.
And finally, there's bending reality. Happy and driven, enjoying the ride while you aim for those goals.
That's the sweet spot. So filled in the present, excited about the future, but how do we get there? What's the secret sauce?
2 key things, he says. 1, gotta be happy now. Don't tie your happiness to some future achievement.
That's hard. We're always waiting for that next thing, the promotion, the relationship, the whatever.
And it keeps us from appreciating what we have right now.
So find joy in the present, no matter what.
That's it. Second key, you need a compelling vision for the future.
Those end goals, right? The things that really matter to us, not just what society tells us we should want. Like Lakhiani creating A-Fest, that amazing festival. It wasn't just about business. It was about deeper desires, connection, adventure.
Exactly. When you align your actions with your values, it doesn't feel like work anymore. It's like play. But a lot of us struggle with self-doubt, fear, when we try to go after those big dreams. How do we overcome that?
Yeah, how do you get the courage to actually step into your greatness?
That's where unfuckwittable comes in.
Okay, that got my attention. What's unfuckwittable all about?
It's that inner peace, that resilience, where nothing outside can shake you, whether it's criticism or even praise.
So unshakable confidence.
You got it. Two parts to it. First, understanding that life's a game, we're the players, we choose our rules, our reactions.
I like that. It's not letting life happen to you, it's deciding how you're going to play.
And to do that, you gotta be present. When you're grounded in the now, you're less likely to get swept up in negativity.
So mindfulness, meditation, all that helps.
For sure. And Lakhiani says, even when things are tough, reframe it. See challenges as opportunities.
Instead of why me, it's what can I learn?
You're taking back control. But the second part of unfuckwithable, that's the real challenge for a lot of folks, realizing you're enough just as you are. No need for external validation.
Oof, that's a tough one. We're so conditioned to seek approval from others.
Lakhiani tells this funny story about messing up Vanilla Ice lyrics as a teen, how it made him feel like a total nerd. It's that need for validation, and it can really hurt.
Oh, I totally get it. We've all had those moments where we felt judged, like we weren't good enough.
But our worth doesn't come from them. It comes from within.
Easier said than done, though, right? How do you actually get to that point where you truly believe you're enough?
It's a practice. Start by noticing those thoughts, those beliefs that fuel that need for validation. Often they're from childhood or society's messages.
So, gotta do that inner work, figure out where those insecurities come from.
Right. And focus on your strengths, your accomplishments. Celebrate those wins, big or small.
Shift the focus from lack to what you already have.
You got it. It's a journey, but the more unfuckwithable you become, the more freedom you have. You're not controlled by what other people think.
You can just be yourself, go after your dreams with confidence.
Yeah.
So powerful. So we've got consciousness engineering, blisscipline, bending reality, and being unfuckwithable. These are big, life-changing concepts. But how does Lakhiani bring it all together? What's the ultimate point of all this inner work?
That's where discovering your quest comes in.
Finding your purpose, your calling.
Exactly. Lakhiani says, extraordinary people don't have careers, they have callings. It's about making a unique contribution, something that lights you up.
It's about more than just yourself. It's about making a difference. But how do you even start to figure out what your quest is?
Lakhiani talks about two paths to transformation. First is Kensho, growth through pain.
Learning from those tough times, getting stronger through challenges. Like Lakhiani himself, his salary getting cut in half after his honeymoon, almost going bankrupt, those were turning points.
He says our greatest breakthroughs often come from our biggest challenges. It's like you got to hit rock bottom to discover your true strength.
Wow. So don't be afraid of those tough times. They might be pushing you towards your quest.
Exactly. Then there's Satori, growth through awakening. Those aha moments that change everything.
Those moments of clarity, they can happen anytime, right?
He says after a Satori, things that used to scare you, they lose their power. And he talks about the universe presenting us with opportunities. It's up to us to recognize them, act on them.
Like that idea Emily Fletcher talks about, the universe knocking on your door with an idea for your mission. You got to answer that call.
Or you miss out. He mentions Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic. She lost book ideas because she didn't act and someone else wrote them.
That's like my worst nightmare, having a great idea and letting it slip away.
It's about being ready, trusting your gut, and taking action, even when it's scary. Lakhiani says we're literally the chosen one for our specific quest, like the universe picked us for this.
That's a lot of pressure. But also exciting, like you have this special role to play. But how do you know when you found it? What are the signs?
He gives a few clues. First, it feels like play, not work. You're energized by it, not drained. It's that flow state we talked about.
Being in the zone, totally absorbed in what you're doing.
And pay attention to your energy levels. Drained and depleted, probably not your quest. Energized and inspired, you might be onto something.
So follow that feeling of excitement, that spark.
He also talks about synchronicity. Things just fall into place, the right people show up, it's like magic. But what if you're not seeing those signs, you're feeling lost?
Yeah, what if you're just stuck?
Lakhiani says, trust the process. Keep exploring. It's a journey, not a destination. And he gives us a great exercise from Martin Rube, 3 questions to ask yourself.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with those questions.
First, recall a time when you experienced heaven on earth. What was happening?
So think back to a time when you felt truly happy, fulfilled, totally aligned.
And figure out what made it so special. How can you bring those elements into your life now?
Love it. What's the second question?
Imagine you have a magic wand, and with it, you can create heaven on earth. What is heaven on earth for you?
Dream big, no limits.
Exactly. And the final question, what simple, easy, concrete step will you take in the next 24 hours to make heaven on earth real?
So take action, no matter how small, towards that vision.
He says pay attention to your emotions as you answer those questions. Don't overthink it. Feel it in your heart.
It's about combining your head and your heart, your logic and your intuition.
That's how you create a life that's both meaningful and fulfilling. But what if you're feeling lost? You don't know what that next step is.
Yeah, what if you're just completely stuck?
Lakhiani says you don't need all the answers. Just take a step, any step, even a tiny one. He quotes Napoleon Hill. If you aren't sure what to do, just take a tiny baby step.
It's about showing up, putting in the effort, and trusting that the path will reveal itself.
He ends by saying, your true greatness comes when you focus not on building a career, but on finding your quest.
Powerful stuff. It's about living a life of purpose, driven by your passions and your desire to make a difference. But finding your quest, that can feel
Like
overwhelming.
I say, remember, your quest can change over time. It's a journey, not a destination. And he gives us this incredible tool for integrating all these concepts, the 6-phase meditation.
I've heard so much about this. What makes it different from other meditations?
It's not about clearing your mind or reaching some blissful state. It's about consciously shaping your inner world to create the outer reality you want.
So meditation for
You
manifestation.
got it. He breaks it down into 6 phases, starting with connection, connecting to something bigger than yourself.
Whether it's a higher power, nature, or just the feeling of being connected to everything.
Then gratitude, cultivating that appreciation for the good stuff.
Ties back to discipline, right? Focusing on the good, what you have, not what you lack.
Exactly. Then forgiveness, letting go of that anger and resentment.
Creating space for peace and joy.
From there, it's future visioning, visualizing your ideal future, really feeling it.
Using the power of your imagination to bring it to life.
The perfect day, planning out your ideal day, aligning it with your goals and values.
Intentional living at its best.
And finally, blessings, sending love and blessings to yourself, your loved ones, the world.
Radiating that positive energy outwards.
Lakhiani says it's super practical, just 15 minutes a day, no special skills required.
And the benefits are amazing, from reduced stress to increased creativity to better health.
It's a game changer. He also addresses those common misconceptions, like meditation being only for spiritual people or too time-consuming. He says anyone can benefit, and the rewards are worth it.
So the 6-phase meditation is a powerful tool for integrating everything we've talked about,
It's about shaping your inner world to manifest the outer reality you want.
creating a life of bliss, purpose, and extraordinary possibilities. It's really amazing how Lakhiani takes all these big ideas and makes them so practical.
Right. He doesn't just talk about it, he gives you actual tools to use.
Exactly, like step-by-step instructions.
And he even has an app to go with the book.
The Code of the Extraordinary Mind app, right?
That's the one. Bonus content, guided meditations, exercises. It's like a personal coach in your pocket.
I love that. Makes it less overwhelming, more like, okay, I can actually do this.
Totally. So before we wrap things up, let's recap those key takeaways.
Good idea. Starting with transcending the culturescape.
Recognizing those rules that are holding us back and deciding which ones to ditch.
Then we dove into consciousness engineering, understanding how our minds work, and using that to create the life we want.
And that led to rewriting our models of reality, changing those limiting beliefs.
We talked about upgrading our systems for living, our daily habits and practices.
And of course, discipline, cultivating happiness as a skill.
We explored the power of bending reality, aligning our inner and outer worlds.
And finally, the importance of discovering your quest, that unique contribution we're meant to make.
It's about living a life of purpose, passion, and making a difference.
A life that feels truly extraordinary.
This has been such an incredible journey.
I agree. Lakhiani really challenges us to think differently.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the code of the extraordinary mind, we want to leave you with one final thought.
What's one rule that's holding you back?
Think about it. And how can you start questioning it today?
Take that first step towards breaking free.
For more inspiration, definitely check out Lakhiani's book, his website, and the Code of the Extraordinary Mind app.
Tons of resources to support you on your journey.
And we'd love to hear from you. Share your insights using #ExtraordinaryMind. Let's keep this conversation going.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep bending reality and living your most extraordinary life.